Yeah, Brian, obviously you just got through camp and you guys are ready to go. In terms of what Russ is working with, the weapons, adding Greg Olsen, DK developing, just how good do you feel about the group and the backs he can throw to, also just all the weapons he can throw the ball to?
We're excited. Obviously, Russ is just such a great player when you give him the compliments that he has. And you add a guy like Greg Olsen, who's a veteran in a weird year, right? We all know this is a unique year. A veteran guy like that gets it. You can get ready to play. You can feel good about your plan and the understanding of what we're trying to do. DK's been outstanding. We're just expecting huge things from him this year. Year two, work ethic like none other. I mean, he's just a special talent, just working like crazy. Of course, Russ and Tyler, it's not going to take them very long. And, getting Phil Dorsett has been great for us as well. Another speed element, a guy that can really run. And you go on and on. I mean, you look at the rest of the tight ends, playing all those guys, Dis and Hollister, and then Demo, the things that Demo can do. We're really, really excited. And, again, we feel like, teams will have a plan of trying to stop certain guys, and we feel like we have plenty of people that can create matchups for us.
Corbin Smith.
Hi, Brian. Obviously, we've talked with you before about analytics and how it's becoming a bigger part of football. Last year, Russell Wilson, there's two analytic data points for next-gen stats. We've got expected completion rate and completion percentage above expectation. Russell Wilson always finishes in the top 5 in that category. What is it like as a play caller, having a quarterback in the prime of his career that's so good at completing what are typically conventionally difficult throws? How does it influence your play calling?
Well, I think it makes it easy for you to call a lot of plays. Even when you watch a play, maybe that during the week of practice, you're like, it didn't maybe come off exactly how you wanted it to come off that week in practice. Maybe it was a look that you didn't get exactly from the scout team. It makes you feel very, very comfortable that when you have a player of Russ's capabilities with the arm talent that he has, that you feel very comfortable calling those plays. Again, I think it's a huge it's not understood what a great passer this guy is. I think, coming around and looking around from other people, I think they see him as a guy that can improvise and move around. The guy's a terrific passer, and his arm talent is off the chart. So it's a blessing to have that. And, again, it makes you go into games feeling very, very confident and comfortable that whatever you call, he can make it work.
Tim?
Hey, Brian. You mentioned briefly the group of tight ends that you have. I'm just wondering, can you sort of break down the skills that each of those guys bring, and where maybe one has a strength over another among those 4 guys?
Sure. I think, obviously, Tim, the big thing for us is we're going to use them all in different ways. We know that. But, again, I think you start with a guy like Greg. There's not much that Greg can't do. Certainly, he's a big-time threat in the passing game because of his ability to run. He's got a great feel for routes, how to get open, how to use his size to get open. Really, really does a nice job in pass protection, some of the stuff that you can do in terms of him being on the edge and knocking people around a little bit. Dis is a guy that can do a little bit of everything. People forget what the production that Dis had last year, before he got injured. But, again, doing all the different things that we want. Jake Hollister, a guy that last year, again, went from being cut, I think, on the last cut to brought back. And then next thing you know, he's helping us beat San Francisco on a big Monday night game. A guy that, again, can do so many different things. And then maybe the guy that makes the whole room go, Luke Wilson, is just there's nobody that brings better energy. There's not a better culture creator than Luke. And I don't know how practice would run without him out there, because a hot day like today, right, he helps keep everything going. So, and then we've got some young guys, Tim as well, that we really like, Sully, Colby Parkinson, guys like that, Tyler Mabry, that we're excited about. So we feel like they're interchangeable, and we feel like the good thing about that, it doesn't have any tells for us when certain guys are in the game, because we know they're going to do multiple things that will keep the defense off balance.
Joe Fan.
Hey, Brian, how's Dwayne doing?
He's doing great. Again, whatever year this is, maybe 13, 14, 15, he's doing great. He looks great. Again, just an amazing talent. Great command. Leadership's been outstanding. So he's doing terrific.
Russ said during his press conference today, he goes with a big smile on his face. I know Shotty wants to score a ton of points, so hopefully we can do that for him. I'm sure a part of that is like, yeah, duh, you always want to score as many points as possible. But is there a bit that's maybe more than that, where is a philosophy of like, you're on the gas and this is what we're going to do, as opposed to how can we own the clock? How can we own field position? Or is it, duh, we're always trying to score as many points as possible?
Yeah, I mean, we always want to score points, Joe. That's the objective, right? But also we're going to have a game plan going into each game. We used the Atlanta game last year as a great example, right? We started really, really fast. I think it was 21-3 maybe at halftime. Then the next thing you know, they come rearing back, and next thing you know, it's kind of a nail-biter. We're having to finish the game in a 4-minute drive. And so, again, the bottom line is we want to win. And if we can find ways to win, that's the number one thing, the number one objective for the Seattle Seahawks, and certainly us offensively. Would we love to do it, scoring 35 points a game, 40 points a game? Sure. But that's only if it takes that. So we go into each week not knowing how it's going to play out and being ready to adjust if things don't go maybe as we had hoped.
Can that Atlanta game be a good lesson to learn then, of like you can never take your foot off the gas no matter what the score is at halftime?
I think always. I mean, this is the NFL. You talk about playing for 60 minutes plus. I mean, you never know how it's going to go. I think it's a great example to look at to say, yeah, we had that game where we felt pretty good, but again, it's pro football, and so it doesn't take long for the tides to turn. And so, again, we were holding on there at the end to try to get a victory against a good football team. And most games in this league are going to be that way, right? Most games are going to come down to the last couple minutes, and it's whoever makes those plays in the crunch time that finds a way to win.
Thanks, Brian.
Michael Sean.
Hey, Shotty, when it comes to like designing pass concepts and stuff that accentuate Russ's strengths, I would use like the Tampa Bay game, for example, where you guys were torching their man coverage. Do you do that? Does some of the other staffers do that when it comes to specifically designing some of that stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question, Michael. I mean, we all do it together. Obviously, you put a number of things together during the course of the offseason through training camp. You install it. There's going to be things you like. There's going to be things that you're like, maybe that doesn't really fit us. So we've kind of got an inventory that we start with. And then when you go and you watch each opponent, you're going to look at things that maybe attack what you see as a favorable matchup for you, or a coverage that they play that you feel like if you do this, you can take advantage of a zone or some element of their coverage. So we do it all collectively. Russ is involved. He sees things. He studies as much film as anybody. I would say that when it's all said and done, you put the plan together, you go out, you practice it, Michael, and then, you probably trim a handful of things throughout the course of the week. But we have a pretty good idea each week of what we're going to go with, and then we add a handful of wrinkles each week.
And I don't think you guys have done a bunch of trick stuff since you got here, but did you call one against the Packers that Tyler was supposed to throw on? Remember what I'm talking about?
We've called a couple. You bring it up. We called a reverse pass with Josh Gordon. It got intercepted. We did have another one up that Tyler had to run. So the last one I called was actually in the Pro Bowl, Michael, and Zeke Elliott threw an interception. So I'm kind of 0 for 2 on those right now, and my last 2 that I've called. So, hey, tell DQ and the boys, you never know. Might be coming on Sunday.
Thanks, Shotty.
Curtis.
Hey, Brian, I was just kind of curious how you thought Carlos Hyde has adapted to what you guys bring to the table here and his role, and how you see the running back group kind of fitting in for you at this stage.
Curtis, Carlos has been awesome. You talk about just a pro, a guy that really has a tremendous running style that fits what we do. He's a downhill slasher, one-cut runner that's really productive with the schemes that we use. He's fitting in great. He's fitting in great. The guys respect him. You see the way he's working. So he's been a great compliment. Chris looks great. We're thrilled that Chris is back. He's looking great. He'll be ready to roll. Carlos, like I mentioned, awesome addition. Travis Homer is a guy that we just truly trust that he's going to be on top of his assignment. He's going to give us everything he's got. Another guy like DK, he's kind of a tone setter. Just when he's out there, you're going to get one thing from him, and that's all that he's got. And he's going to be physical. He's going to play the right style. And then DJ Dallas is, of course, a guy that we're really excited about from what we've seen from him, both as a runner but as a receiver as well. So a really cool backfield, a bunch of tools. And then, again, you guys ask quite a bit. You never know how the carries are going to unfold or how the touches are going to unfold, but we'd love to get all those guys some playing time.
Jackie.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Hi, Jackie.
Hi. We were just talking to Coach Solari, and I just wanted to get your perspective on how the offensive line is coming together, especially with those new faces.
Yeah, the offensive line's coming together great. Again, when you have a guy like Dwayne and Mikey on the left, that's kind of your veteran group that you're like, okay, we know what we're getting. Ethan's done a tremendous job at center. He really has. So thrilled for him, all the hard work, the way he approaches just his preparation through the week. You know, when you come in off the practice field during training camp when it's hot and sweaty, he's the first one, sometimes the only one in the locker room. That's so cool to see from Ethan. And then I've really been so pleased with both Damian Lewis and Brandon Shell. For Damian, he's just a competitor. You know, he just sits in there and fights. And is it always perfect? No. But he just lines up and plays the next snap full speed. And Brandon's played really, really well. You can see the veteran the veteran experience in Brandon. You know, he knows how to set. He knows how to anticipate games and movements. And so I think it's coming along really, really well. Another guy we're excited about is Cedric. You know, what Cedric can bring to us. And so we're excited about the group. We expect him to play at a high level.
You've worked with so many great quarterbacks. In your perspective, how has the communication and the chemistry developed with Russ and Ethan specifically?
You see it in practice. They anticipate things now for each other, which wasn't the way probably when we got started in late July. What I love about both of them is when things come off incorrectly, which happens in practice, whether it's blocking up a blitz or a run declaration, things like that. You see them communicating in between series or in between when the defense is up. And that's what it's about. It's about neither guy's got an ego. They're both, hey, what happened there? What'd you see? It's not Russ talking to Ethan or Ethan talking to Russ or the coaches having to go solve every problem on the practice field. It's them taking the accountability and saying, hey, what'd you see there? And they talk it out, and then they kind of figure out what happened and they fix it and move on. So, again, I think it's got a lot to do with Ethan and him being around, which helps. But it's been really nice.
Thanks, Coach.
Larry Stone.
Yeah, hey, Brian, sorry if you've answered this. I didn't realize you were starting a little early. But Russell today talked about the kind of growing rapport you two have and the relationship and how it's grown and going into its third year. How does that translate on the field and help the team?
Well, I think, number one, I totally agree with Russ. It's just, you know, we're so comfortable with one another. And it's a process, right? I mean, it's like being married or having a best friend or a college roommate. I mean, you get to know them better the longer you're around them, Larry. And how it will help us on game day, I think it's going to help us in terms of the communication that we'll be able to have. He knows I trust him. I know he trusts me. We're not always going to agree on things, but again, we can kind of read each other, and we're able to have quick communication on the sideline about what he's seeing or what I want, and there's no ego there. You know, and that's the thing that we both want to win. And there's times I defer to him. There's times he defers to me. And I think that's the sign of the relationship having grown, that, you know, I don't have to be right. If Russ sees something that he likes, I have no problem with him believing it and saying, hey, here's what I think. Then I let him go with it. We let him go with it. So I'm really excited to see how it transpires this season. But the relationship's been terrific.
All right, last question for Brady.
Might be muted,
Sorry,
Brady.
Brian.
There you go.
Yeah, I was trying to find the mute button. Sorry. And I'm sorry if you were asked this already, but in the two scrimmages that you had at CenturyLink Field, how did the noise impact, or how did that make you guys have to adjust communication-wise or otherwise, just having the noise at home, whereas it's usually quiet?
You know, not really. You're always ready. I mean, you know, we're used to playing with fans, so you're always ready. You never know what each situation is going to be like. What's different about it, I would say, is that it's kind of constant. So different than when fans are there, right? And there's a loud noise, cheer or boos or whatever's happening during the course of the game. This one's pretty constant. So it kind of makes the communication in between series or in between plays a little bit different than maybe what it's been. But in terms of when the game's going and you're breaking the huddle, you're getting up to line of scrimmage, it's not that different. It's not that big a deal. I would say the biggest change is just the constant rhythm of the noise.
And what about when the defense is on the field and you're on the sideline talking with Russ? Is that kind of what you're talking about too, where it's usually it would be really loud, and in this case it's just constant.
Yeah, and it's just different. We're just not used to it. I mean, when you think about it, right? There's timeouts and the fans stop cheering, and then there's different things when there's in between plays when there's substitution patterns. So whether we're over there on the sidelines or trying to communicate personnel, normally there's not cheering or noises that are going on. That's different now with the constant music or whatever it is, the I don't know what they call it, the noise that they play. So that's the only thing that's a little bit different. It doesn't create problems for us, Brady. It's different. We're not used to it.
Gotcha. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks guys.
Coach.